Now I feel like, would it have been better if I'd like come into the business now? What's your superpower that you can just like click 6 words and do like a headline out of it or troll someone?
Yeah.
What's my superpower? I can give life. Men don't want to work with her in the business because they're like, okay, fine, you know, maybe she's become her own hero and the film could be about her. My first meeting for roadies, I went in to say no. Are you a person who's had a baby and writing this? That's the worst.
Yeah.
So who are you? I'm not even sure if it's happened before in the Indian film industry to have an actress who is 8 months pregnant to be cast as 8 months pregnant. Here's the mirror. This is the reality, and this is what you have a mirror for, not for vanity. Sometimes things happen to you for longer because you let them happen.
I have someone with me today who's not only a model, an actor, an anchor, but she's also a very, very inspiring mother. Joining me on Woman Up with Pinkvilla on season 3, I have Neha Dhupia with me today. Hi Neha, welcome to Pinkvilla.
Thank you very much.
You know, you started off by doing films like Qayamat and Julie to doing generic comedy. I want to know, was that conscious decision somewhere? You probably didn't want to get categorized or stereotyped at that point of time?
My set or my breed of actors are the ones who've seen the maximum amount of change. After about half a decade of being in the business, I saw people breaking out of stereotypes, different kind of films being made. I got the opportunity of working in films like Mithya and Ek Chalis Ki Last Local and Fas Gaye Re Obama and things, and to up to now where I worked in films like Tumhari Sullu or a short film like Devi or Step Out, which I produced myself. So I'm doing multiple things, and now on the 17th of Feb I have another film that's coming out which is called Thursday. Now when I started my career, it was so aspirational to look a certain way, walk out of the ocean wearing a hot pink bikini. I've done all that, and here I am up to my last film where I'm 8 months pregnant and playing a cop. So things can still change. There is a certain disparity still. All of that exists. But having said that, there's so much that's changed that now I feel like, would it have been better if I'd like come into the business now? But then maybe not, because this way you've tried, tested, experienced a lot of things.
You had this time where you could experiment before, and you had that advantage because you started off early. I want to know, you also did a film called Kya Cool Hai Hum, which was a sex comedy in the 2000s, and that time, people were not very open. Things are changing now. As a woman, were you ever skeptical about, taking up that project, being in a sex comedy genre twice?
I'll tell you, back then when you were taking chances, there was less murmur, there was less surround sound, there was less, yes, would you get categorized, would you get sectioned, would you be put in a box? That's always going to happen. No matter who you are. Like, even if you're as amazing as Wonder Woman, she'll be put in this box of superpower, which is a great box to be in. You know what I mean? Or action film. It's a great box, but you will be put in that box. So my point is that it really doesn't matter, but at that point there was lesser surround sound. As long as you're not putting anyone, male, female, actor, actress, big, small, old, young, in bad light, and as long as things are funny and meant for the sake of entertainment without hurting anyone or anyone's sentiments, I think you're good to go.
You also mentioned that there's disparity that still exists now. In what way do you think that it still exists between the men and women?
For a lot of times, I feel like she has a lot more to prove. The first time around, it'll be like, oh, script achhi thi. Then the next time around, role acha tha. The third time around, acha theek hai. Then by then, other men don't want to work with her in the business because they're like, okay, fine, maybe she's become her own hero and the film could be about her. So, like that. But now times are changing. Like, kudos to an actor like Aamir Khan. What was that film that he did? Secret Superstar?
Yeah.
Where he played a smaller role and he put like all the female parts above him, the mother, the daughter, all of it, so it's so good. That's what I mean. When the biggest stars come forward and do films like this, that's when you feel that it's all for the love of acting. But then there's a flip side to it as well. Disparity is also another one. Would definitely be pay disparity, but that's a gap that one can talk about and cover another time.
Is it still like super peak?
I don't know about anybody's paychecks, but yeah, I feel like somewhere down the line it is, yeah.
Also, you know, you did a show like Roadies, and you've been the only female judge for years with 3 other male gang leaders who have like a very strong personality. Were you ever worried about how the audience might perceive you?
No, but then there are so many people who don't like me on the show. I still remember I was sleeping, I was exhausted, I took that shawl on my head and went off to sleep. 2 hours later when we were landing, I took the shawl off and there was a person who like got scared. I was like, what is it? So you know, and then she was just like, she looked at me and she was just like, oh my god, you inspire me, or this.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, if me just being myself can inspire a lot of people, you don't have to become me. You have to be yourself. That's what is the part that you need to be inspired by, and that's who I am. I'm not one to like sit and not say anything, you know. Or the best part about getting older is you can just be yourself. You have so many less worries about, you know, the way you look or what people think of you, because you've been through so much badgering of what people have thought of you that
Over
you
the
can't
years.
watch your P's and Q's for their sake. I'll watch my P's and Q's if I'm hurting someone. I'll watch what I say if I think I'm hurting myself.
Because I was watching one of the Roadies clip and I saw you said, and even Prince said a gali. But it's like, you know, if a guy says it, they don't take it that seriously. But it's like Neha Dhupia, the actor, the model, the Miss India 2002, you know, so many labels. So wasn't that ever a question before taking up Roadies that, you know?
Actually, when I went for my first meeting for Roadies, I went in to say no. But the meeting was so great that I turned around and said yes. I still remember I was at my friend Gaurav Kapoor's place, and he was, you know, he's like, "Kya kar?" I said, "Chal coffee peete hain." And I was like, "Oh, मेरी meeting है, मैं अभी जाती हूँ." I still remember it was at Lands End, we were in Bandra, at his place is right there. And he was like, "कितनी देर में आएगी?" I was just like, "आती हूँ मैं आधे घंटे में, we'll come back again, I'll finish this meeting." He's like, "इतना time लग गया?" I was like, "हाँ, वो the meeting was so interesting, the team was so interesting, the crew was so interesting." And then I just came back and he was like, "क्या?" I said, "हाँ, बोल दी." Then he was like, "Okay, are you sure?" Because it's great, but then it's reality. I'd never done it, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go for it."
And talking about Roadies, only my last question to you on that is, there was a controversy that happened because of a certain comment you made. Your intention was something else, but it turned out to be something else. At that point of time, when you were heavily trolled on the internet, did it evoke anger in you, or did you find the need, like, you know, let me just justify myself at that point of time?
I was actually shocked and taken aback. I mean, if it's between domestic violence and not even infidelity, but choices that you take, then I mean, you're going to definitely be questioned on domestic violence. You can't raise your hand on anyone. Was the point that I was trying to make. It got misconstrued, that's absolutely fine. But my point is that the most important thing is that when it comes to trolling, there's no end to it. And what made me angry, to answer your question, is when they go on your children, or when they go on your family, or when they take you down. It's not like that's the last time I'm going to get trolled. It's not like the first time I was trolled. But having said that, I tip my hat off to some of them, because some of them are hilarious. Because on a bad day when you sit and watch them, I'm just like, where's this talent? Like, some of them should actually be in legit writing.
Tracing your journey, you said that, you know, you've also worn a pink bikini and like sort of been on screen to playing a pregnant woman now in your upcoming film. What I want to know is, people sort of idolize you and were more admirable also at that point of time, to now they have started body shaming you because of your postpartum pregnancy weight. How harsh was it for you? Because you just, you know, had a baby and you're like having those emotions at that point of time, and then you're going on the internet and then people are being really nasty.
Okay, first thing, once you have a baby, you don't have that much time to check the internet. So it's fine. But the one-off time that you do, it's not nice. You know, people don't realize that as a mother and as a child, you go through the most important phase in your life. That is the 4th trimester. It's the hardest. And it's tough enough what we do as moms. It's tough enough that, you know, you don't wake up looking even half like this. You're in shambles, you're falling apart, you've come out of, like, I don't even know, between inside outside 80 stitches. So be kind to this person, yeah? And you know the person, and who are you who's writing this? Are you a man? You've never been through it. Whoever's sitting and writing this. Are you a woman who's never had a baby? and writing this, so you have no idea. Are you a person who's had a baby and writing this? That's the worst.
Yeah.
So who are you? What gives you the authority? I mean, literally, what's your superpower that you can just like click 6 words and do like a headline out of it or troll someone?
Yeah.
What's my superpower? I can give life. Can you
Yeah.
match that? I have enough and more people who come to the gym and give me gyan. Oh no, you can do this, but you check yourself. Like, don't even do that. Don't give a woman who's in her postpartum phase advice on weight loss. She's done it before, she'll do it again.
Yeah.
So, oh my god, I can go on and on about it. And like my trainer says, who himself is a pro athlete, he'll say, I'm like, how fit do you want to make me? And he's just like, I just want to make you fit enough so you can run faster than your children 6 years from now. And I'm just like, yeah, because children can run very fast. So it's just that.
Yeah.
And everything else will fall into place.
What you're saying right now requires so much strength. And do you actually convince and tell yourself all of these things when you're facing, because at the end of the day we all are humans, it's going to hurt us somewhere. Do you actually sit down to yourself and reflect on, I need to make myself stronger and thicker skin because I'm a public figure? How do you go about this?
It's a very good point you brought up. And I just feel that so I get a lot of that strength from my mom, and she has her own ways. Like, I still remember the advice that my dad gave me before I left Delhi for the first time, and I still remember I bought a ticket to travel out, and I became Miss India in 2002. So 2001 I came for the prelim rounds, and I bought a return ticket for Jan 2002. Those Air India slip tickets used to have earlier. I'm not sure if you've seen any of those, but we used to have them on the slip. I still have that slip. I never used the return ticket to go back to Delhi. My mom gave me another advice, and she said, whatever happens for a reason, and the reason is always good. Like, you may not know now, but you'll get to know later or later or later. And she would always tell me, and it stayed with me. So if I lose a project, I get a project, I don't get a project, I have a bad day at work, a good day at work, I have a great fitting, I don't have a good fitting, I do my lines well, I don't do them well, I have meltdowns with my children. Everything makes you stronger. It's a process. I feel like that level of wisdom, sanity, and now being thick-skinned also comes from my mom. A large part of the warmth and reassurance I get more than everybody else out there. The audience is going to give or take what you give them. Is also from my husband. Like, hats off to him. He's always there by my side, and I keep telling him my first day at the gym, and he and I now don't go at the same time because of the kids. But that first day he was just like, listen, I'm going to go with you, and literally holding my hand through like the first workout after an entire year, because you have your stitches, you have your weight, you feel odd because you're nursing your child, so you feel very, very heavy all the time. So, a mix of everything.
And the reason I called you an inspiring mother in my introduction is because you're doing this film when you were 8 months pregnant, which is a Thursday, which was not a part of the plan before, but it happened. And when I got to know that you were actually working, I was just like, how? My question is like, how is it possible? How does your body allow you? Because this is an inspiration. Even Kareena Kapoor, she was shooting for Lal Singh Chadha while she was pregnant for her second kid. How do you think this is a revolution?
I feel that the game is changing when you're, as far as women in the business is concerned, but you have to create that work. You've got to go out there and ask for it. Hats off to Kareena and what she's done, and I really respect her, but also hats off to people who make way for pregnant women to work. Like, I had stuff that was kind of coming my way, but I was asked to step down because they were like, okay, fine, you're pregnant, you can't do it, and you're like, okay, maybe it's not the requirement of the role, and you can't figure it out, and you got to just wait, and you part ways amicably. I was literally sitting here, and I met my director, Behzad Khambata, who's directed a Thursday. He hired me as a cop who wasn't pregnant, and then the second wave happened, and then there was a 5-month gap. So I went back to him, and I told him that, listen, I really want to do this film, and I'm pregnant. And then he called Ronnie Screwvala, and both of them took a beat. And I still remember my call with my producer was on FaceTime with another producer of mine, Pashan. And believe it or not, they both said that, are you trying to tell us that cops don't get pregnant or female cops don't get pregnant?
Wow.
Hats off, these are men. We don't have to always say that it's about the woman. There are these bunch of boys or bunch of men who are making this film, who've taken it up and who've not thought for a second and kept me in the project. I'm not even sure if it's happened before in the Indian film industry to have an actress who is 8 months pregnant to be cast as 8 months pregnant. And every time, like, there was a lot of rain and there was everything, and he's just like, "Are you okay?" And like the big joke was, "Why are your pants wet? Do we have to rush you to the hospital?" I'm like, "No, we're doing a rain scene. It's fine. Like, it's totally okay." So it was done in good humor, but here I am. So yeah, I have to say, my son Gurik is already debuted.
Oh yeah, for sure. Even kudos to you for actually doing this and taking it up and
Tough. I can't say it as many times as I can. I cannot tell you the technicalities of being 8 months pregnant and playing a cop. Like, it's just the whole thing.
I wouldn't even like understand, but like
and having COVID. So because there was like, we'd just come out of the second wave, but I just wanted to do it. And the support I got from everyone was just something else.
And on the contrary, there were also people who kind of didn't take you on the project because you were pregnant.
No, and I was asked to step down from other projects as well, but then, you feel bad.
Yeah.
And if there are 3 people who said no, and there's one person who said yes, I feel that somewhere I may have paved the way for women to not take such a long sabbatical and then come back. To say that women who've gone, had babies, come back to work, yes. Women who've continued to have babies, work, pregnant, yes. But to be able to be on screen, play a character and be like, it'll be nice. And I'm hoping that this kind of opens a small little door or window somewhere.
It will, and it is definitely changing. You've added Dhupya and Bedi after Meher's name and even Gurik's name. How did you think of that?
No, I feel like it's 50-50, right? Children are like, clean and clear components of their parents and as it should be in their name. But not forcing it down anyone's throat. It's totally okay. We wanted to do this for our kids. And Angad said that he's nobody to take it away from our children, that it should only be Bedi. And I said, I want this there. So he was just like, there were no questions asked. He just smiled. I still remember he was filling in the birth certificate form both times around.
Okay.
And he just did it. But why and what if and all that, nothing. It was just done. Because if you have to force things like this or this kind of change, and if it doesn't come naturally, then there's no respect for it. And with him and me, it just came naturally. And there's very little that we actually fight about. Unless we both are relieved for work at the same time, we both want to go in for a shower, and we both need to use the washroom, and we both need, like, sometimes we travel and one of us forgets the phone charger, and then we're like, okay, this one's mine, no, this one's mine, because both our chargers look the same. So I'm going to start putting like perforated alphabets on all our chargers. So we fight over silly things, but nothing like nothing life-changing.
But have you ever faced men in your life who've sort of been toxic for you, or any relationship that you remember where a guy has probably not made you feel good about yourself?
Yeah, that it happens. And that's when you step out of it and don't take as long as I did, or I must have, or I don't know. So maybe sometimes I would take longer, sometimes shorter. I've been in quite a few relationships. Sometimes things happen to you for longer because you let them happen. So if you smell the problem, so if you smell something burning, or if you can smell the smoke, run away from the fire.
Did you kind of lose confidence because of that?
I questioned myself. I think the thing about coming to Bombay is you pad yourself with such great support system when it comes to true and honest friends who, I've had so many friends who were not from the business, and I still have them, and my bunch of friends, it's just like, here's the mirror, this is the reality, and this is what you have a mirror for, not for vanity, so yeah, so I mean, I've been okay.
Deep.
Yeah.
That's very deep. Now you know what the right guy does and how the right guy takes care of you and motivates you and encourages you to do the best. How has he changed your life?
It's the saying, right? Many frogs before you find your prince. I mean, I'm glad with the amount of ribbit I faced, like ribbit, and I was like, prince, okay then, yeah. He's great, just true friendship is what keeps us together. We literally, like, our kids go to sleep at 8:25, there's pin drop silence, so 8:30 to about 11:30, those 3 hours, from 8:30 to about 9, as soon as I walk out of the door, and I'm just like, he's like, so good, I'm like, and then from 8:30 to 9, we both are like this, and then 9 o'clock we find our second wind, and then we start talking to each other because we get so tired. And But work days are different.
Yeah.
So now work days seem easier than being at home, because 2 kids at the same time can get demanding.
Very. And lastly, I want to know what made you start Freedom to Feed?
August of 2019, when my daughter was about 8 months old.
Yeah.
And I felt that, because I was breastfeeding my daughter, and then there were times where I was publicly apologetic about it, and then I realized there's no need to be. And we need to, the only way you can get past it is by normalizing breastfeeding. And not sexualizing it. So if I'm on a plane, I shouldn't be the one hiding in a bathroom. If I go to a mall, I shouldn't be the one saying feeding room kidhar hai, and somebody says ki oh idhar hai, wahan pe bathroom mein jaake sofa pe baith jao, and all that kind of stuff. That's not what you do it for. And I still remember I was on a flight, and I had to feed Meher, and I was just holding her, and I was deciding what to do, and then finally like everybody was like looking at me, and I said, okay, I should be going inside the toilet to like feed her, but that's not the right thing to do. I need to normalize it.
Yeah.
So the point is that that's the trigger that happened with me, and the more conversations I had, everyone had a story to tell, or many, or somebody was just like, I was feeding in the balcony and there was a guy staring at her, so stop sexualizing it, or stop looking at it like a stigma.
Yeah.
Let it be one of the most normal things, because it is
Normal.
It is normal. It is the most natural thing, and you're feeding your child. There can't be something more beautiful and normal than that. But that started, and now we talk about everything. And it's a place that comes with no judgment.
That's great, and I think it's a great initiative. It's inspiring a lot of mothers and parents out there. So thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you.
And we hope to see some more inspiring stories that you're going to bring out super soon.
Thank you very much. Hi everyone, I'm Neha Dhupia, and if you like this video, remember to like, share and subscribe.